So let's chat what worked in Q1 of 2024 with our content, what didn't work, what really brought in inquiries, and what converted our audience into paying clients. I want to make this a quarterly thing where I jump on, I share what content's working, what's not, inside my very own staging business. I feel like that's one of the ways we're very unique at STAGERBOSS, is that everything that I teach my students, I'm implementing myself. But also because I'm doing that at a volume, I can give you insights on what's worked and what hasn't. So I've done a review through our accounts of what type of real content, written content worked, and I'm here to share with you the results so that you can implement this content moving forward to convert your audience and create content that feels effortless but actually makes a difference, because we're not creating content just for content's sake. So with that, I'm going to share my slides because I've pre-prepared this, and let's dive in and talk all things content. If you've got any questions, put them in the comments below. So let's talk all things our Q1 content. Now, this is quarter one content for my staging business, the Property Stagers. So I want to get a few things clear before we dive into the stats. And I'm sharing this with you because I always think at the end of a quarter, we've had 3 months, and it's really powerful to look back on, right, what worked and what didn't work, but then also how are we going to take those lessons into the next 3 months and the rest of the year. This is where I see like one of the biggest gaps where people don't actually analyze what's working. They just keep doing the same thing over and over. Whereas we're very data driven. We want to look at, right, what is working, what's delivering clients, and do more of that, and then kill any strategies that are just not performing for us. So this is actually a review that we do inside our business every quarter. We present this at our quarterly team meeting, and then we put the new strategy in place for the next 3 months. So I'm really, lifting up the curtain and showing you what happens in the back end of our business. And this is all screenshots. This is all things that are happening right now. So on to our very first slide. So we actually generate, 7 figures in a year, and social media is just one of our marketing strategies. We also market in other ways. We have PR, we do email marketing, we have affiliates. I speak on stages, on podcasts. There's so many ways that we actually bring clients into the funnel. However, social media was the core strategy that I used to scale to 7 figures in under 2 years. And it's still one of our big referrers of business. And everything I share with you, yes, we generate 7 figures a year in revenue, but that doesn't mean that we have a huge following. And I really want to sort of like break any misconceptions that people have or preconceptions that you need a large following to generate 7 figures in income, because it's just not true. Currently, for the Property Stagers, we have around 5,000 followers on Instagram, 4,000 on Facebook, and then I have 2 other accounts, both through StagerBoss and my personal account. Combined with those, we have about 25,000 on those accounts, but that's not necessarily where we promote our staging services. In this training, I'm going to show you the Instagram stats. So we also look at our Facebook stats, we look at what's happening on LinkedIn, but today for this training, I thought I would just share with you Instagram. They're visually appealing, they're easier to look at, and it's pretty much the same across the board on all of the platforms. So the question is, how do you actually find these stats so that you can start to implement this in your business quarterly? Well, first off, on Instagram, you must have a business account. That is the only way that you're going to be able to see the insights. So I've done a quick screenshot here. When you're in your Instagram account, you can go to the top right and there's like these 3 lines. If you click on those lines, drop down into the insights, you will then see a time period that you can choose, and you can do it for, I think, 7, 30 days, but we have calculated the last 90 days to go through. So with that, let's take a look at some of these stats. So overall, you'll see here on the right, this is actually the screenshot of the overview that we reached almost 250% more accounts compared to basically in Q4. And I think the main reason for that was we had a change in strategy. Compared to Q4, we posted a lot of carousels. We've now shifted to a heavier reel strategy. So, carousels is when there's multiple photos on one post, and now we're posting a lot more video content. So, accounts reached was 10,300. That was a 238% increase. We started to engage more of 84% there, and we gained some followers as well. And I'm not always totally, I don't study these stats and I'm absolutely driven by them. It's just to see, right, is the content landing? Is it performing? Just these numbers, they're numbers, right? And it just shows you, are you growing? Are things going in the right direction? That doesn't mean that if you've only got 100 accounts reached, that you're not making money, because it depends what your funnel looks like and how well you convert people. Next up, I looked at the next part. So there was 10,377 accounts reached. And I want to add that 0% of this was from ads. Like, we don't run social media ads for the property stagers. It's completely organic. Now, I was really delighted with this number because basically it shares here, out of those 10,000 accounts that we reached, 8,000 of those people didn't follow us, which means we are actually getting our content out to people that don't know us at this moment, which is really, really powerful. And you'll see that there was a 393% increase. So the type of content we're putting out is actually getting us noticed by people that aren't following us, which is exciting because we're getting out to a new audience who could potentially buy. And then down there in the bottom, you'll see there is impressions. We've made an impression upon 50,000 accounts. Who wants 50,000 people looking at your brand? And where this becomes really powerful is that someone actually needs to see your brand 16 times in order to buy. So if there's 50,000 people and seeing this content, we're increasing those chances of getting sales. And this is what business is about. It is a numbers game. The higher these numbers are, the more you're going to convert. And then we go even deeper into content type. We realize that all of that was pretty much reels. Now you'll see down the bottom, there's videos. A reel is a video, right? And we've stopped sort of posting the traditional type video, and everything is now being posted as a reel. We're not massively on Instagram stories, so that number is really low. So the reels is what is really getting us attention from followers and also non-followers. So how can you take this piece of information that I'm sharing with you and implement this in your marketing in Q2? Okay, so let's now break down the type of content. So we looked at our top 9 performing pieces of content. They were all reels. So that is clearly saying to us, reels, 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 keep going with it, it's delivering. What else did we see? Actually, 3 out of 9 of those reels were time lapses. So, time lapsing is a great media content to post on your staging company's page. I find them really interesting to watch. Perhaps you're the same, but I do enjoy them, and clearly our audience are too. And I think one of the reasons for that is they're seeing sort of the before, but they're now seeing the during, and then they're seeing that transformation at the end. Also, these are like super easy pieces of content to create. It's literally just hitting a camera and doing what you're doing anyway. So I find this content really easy. Another observation I had was actually 6 out of 9 pieces of this content had a person in it. So this says to me that content with people in it performs better. I already knew that. People want to know the person behind the brand. They want to see people, and people engage when there's a person more in it. So how can you start to implement yourself into your content rather than just interiors and just images? And then another very interesting observation, and this is one to really write down, star in your notebook, is that 6 out of 9 pieces of the content had an educational angle. So the following hooks were: what viewers notice when they walk into your property, should I outsource my essays, HMOs, I don't need a staging company, here's what we actually do, how you present your properties as your brand, what happens on destaging day, and why you need to stage your properties now more than ever. So every piece of those pieces of content were educational, they were hard hitting, and they certainly spoke to our ideal client. So, yes, you can get tons of views on a piece of content, but if it doesn't actually have a message that is delivering directly to your ideal client, is not making an impact, then you're likely not going to see that conversion. So, with this content, we were in some of them slightly polarizing, but we were addressing our clients' pain points. We were addressing the internal dialogue that was already going on in their mind. And we actually answered a few FAQs too. We really demonstrated what we do, especially in that piece of content about I don't need a staging company. We then went into more detail of, well, actually, here's what a staging company does for you. So this content has been top performing. It has resulted in DMs and also website visits. We then looked at, right, what are our top 9 performing social media posts? And this was interesting. So, this is like static images. The reach on this is a lot lower, but the one that got the highest reach was the piece of content that actually has a person in it, which is me. So, when it's just empty interiors, it's getting a much lower reach than when you see that person. It was 969 versus 384, which is a huge jump. That's like that's 3 times larger, right? And then we also looked at, right, well, what's getting engagement? Engagement is a like, a comment, a share, a save. Well, the top 2 pieces of content, and what's funny is these were not the top accounts reached, but they are the top accounts engaged, is that there is people in these again. I'm in all of them and in both of them, but there was people at the center of both of these videos. So super powerful. We are seeing human-centric content, people in the focus, very, very powerful. Now, all of this did result in website traffic amongst, social media driving traffic to the site. And you also will notice a spike. So our website traffic was there's on average about 3,500 users a month. In March, we did see a spike in website traffic because we were also featured in a lot of PR. So we did see almost like an increase in almost 1,000 there. But this is delivering through to our website. And that's another important thing to remember, and why Coach On is like your work is not done in social media. You need to be driving someone somewhere to capture their email address and to get them off of social media. We don't own our social media platforms. If they shut down tomorrow, they're gone. Our audience is gone. So we want to find a way to drive them to our site and capture their information. So super interesting, cool results. Basically, my overview of this and what I would view this with my team as is that reels are much higher performing than static images. So, yes, I'm sure at one point we're going to put out some static images because it's easy, but reels, we are going to have a real focused strategy. We had more engagement with content that has a human element. So, in every piece of content, how can we get a human being into it? And your audience wants higher value content. So the time that we did invest in those longer captions, more thought out, really with our ideal customer in our mind, our audience wants that higher value and it's working. So let's keep doing that. Another really interesting observation I had was if you go and check out most of these pieces of content, you wouldn't even need a portfolio if you were to recreate these. Most of this content was taken at stages, but you could do all of this content in your own home. You could time lapse yourself staging your bedroom. You could time lapse yourself styling your living room. You could do little close up shots. You could do photos of yourself, videos of yourself talking. So, actually, you do not need a portfolio to create this type of content, which I thought was really interesting. And it just goes to show how powerful this can be in getting you clients when you don't have that portfolio yet. And then finally, consistency is key. To read data, you need to have data, which means you need to have content to actually look at. So, with that in mind, what am I taking into Q2? Well, for us, we're taking more quantity of content in. We actually didn't have as much content as we wanted because there's been some internal shifts in our internal team of who's managing what. I've become more involved in the content. So there is a bit of a time barrier there, but we do need to up the quantity. The more quantity, the more people we're going to reach, and the more successful we're going to be. We want to do the focus on higher value captions and messaging. So, focusing more on what is my ideal client thinking and then being able to write that and communicate that through content. And we're going to focus more on having human beings in there, having me behind the brand, my personality, my story, because that's truly what delivers. So that's what's happening in Q1. Q2 is very exciting. We've got the momentum to build on from Q1 in our marketing, but these are real insights from our account. And yeah, hopefully that helped. I hope you found that valuable, hearing what worked in our staging business and what can hopefully help you improve your content strategy and convert clients, because content isn't for content's sake, it's to convert your audience into paying clients. And if by watching that you're feeling like, I need support in my launch of my business because I want to get paying clients immediately, then I want to invite you to join us inside our free 5-part mini course. I recorded 5 training videos that last around 4 hours in total to really help support you in seeing the business model of a staging business, how to identify the clients you want to work with, and then attract them through social media itself. Also, how to set up systems in your business so you can run this in 2 or 3 hours a week. It's all there for you. I've linked it in the comments below. Just go to the link below, sign up with your email address and your name, and you'll have instant access to that program. I will see you all on our next training.